So, Lori, I was hoping that you could tell us a little bit about where you were at before you started growing microgreens. What was going on in your life and kind of what drew you initially to microgreens?
Well, I was teaching. Um, I've been a teacher for 22 years, and was teaching at the time, was growing too. I've always liked to grow our food and been interested in nutrition. So I was growing just in tower gardens, and just for our family. And in my mind, when I was looking to transition out of teaching, which had been successful for me, I was good at what I did, but it was a lot. Kids at different stages where we're also busy. Was looking to transition to something else. And I really, at that time, wasn't ready or knowing what I was going to do. But I was growing in the towers, and one of our new tower gardens came out that had two sections in the top that were supposed to be for microgreens. And I remember being at the conference and seeing that and thinking, what are microgreens? So what is this? So I order one of the indoor towers that have the smaller sections. They're just little cubes. And I just didn't really know what to do with it. And so that's, I think, when I look back, what initiated me to start looking into microgreens. And then with social media, like, you popped up right away. So that was cool. So I was learning and I'm looking at different things and I'm like, oh, this is not the way to grow microgreens. I need to try, just growing them for our family and just for fun, to leave teaching and not really specifically knowing what I was going to do when I put in my resignation last, I guess it's been a year ago, life coach. And we really were just working through some personal things and what it would look like to transition after so long, having your identity be in education and being Mrs. Mogg and being a part of that in the community. And she just asked me one day, she's like, what would your day look like if you got up and could do whatever you wanted to do? And I said, I just kind of was speaking without thinking too much. Deliver herbs is what I wanted to do. I'm like, I would like to just grow herbs and just deliver. That time I thought, oh, this is the way to start. I don't have to we live in the suburbs. We're both from small towns, and actually our families have quite a bit of farmland, row crop. But I love the idea that I could do this inside in my own house. So that was really more the reason for, moving towards microgreens. I'm like, well, I can grow microgreens and microherbs and kind of be doing the same thing and moving in the right direction in case I do get to the point where I was doing, full grown culinary herbs. So
Hear kind of what led up to. Tell us about your farm business now.
Well, I feel like I've grown organically. I really just started out growing a little bit and sharing with neighbors that I knew were kind of health conscious and aware of what microgreens were, or even if they didn't, I knew they would be open to that. And really just starting out with not a lot of confidence in it. When I look back, I think, wow, I didn't, and that giving away product, which is absolutely important to do. But growing from that and just organically them sharing with other people and starting to share on social media. Getting a website was huge. That seemed like a massive undertaking. But once I did it, and now being able to sell from the website. So all those little steps, I'm delivering each week and really just probably about 15 consistent customers. I have one special event order at a nice winery restaurant, local, coming up in May. I've delivered just some samples last week to another winery that she well, actually they're a tapas bar. And I found out she's also opening a cafe that does tartines. And so she's interested there. And then last week I also got into my first little local market.
I love hearing your multiple customers now. You have people buying through your website. That was a little overwhelming to set up, but you got it set up and it's working. You have special events that you're growing for. You have made a lot of progress. When did you first start growing microgreens? Do you know how long it's been?
I do know that it was, I guess, in the fall of 2020, like late fall, probably November, that I just grew a few trays. Nothing intentional, but as far as being intentional about, I'm going to try to make this a business, about August.
Wow. What would an ideal day look like? I think so often we don't allow ourselves to even think about that. We're kind of stuck in the practicalities of life and the rhythm that our life has sort of taken on. And that's such a wonderful question to just answer without too much thought of what does an ideal day look like, and to really discover your passion in answering that question.
Beautiful to me to be able to do this whenever throughout the day.
Absolutely. I love it too.
Because I love to do things in the evening, and my kids are old enough where if they're doing their homework, I can do something. And not having that nine to five is actually pretty freeing in a strange way. Also with your advice of just making the business what you want it to be. It's yours.
Yeah.
So designing it.
Yeah, that's great. If you could kind of look back at yourself before, that less confident version of you, and deciding, should I do this or not? What would you tell yourself if you were looking back at that person trying to decide if you should go for it and make that transition?
Oh gosh, I definitely would say just take every little step. Don't look, I mean, you have to have that goal in mind, but for me, that can be really overwhelming. I know that is the idea, I guess, to make your business plan and look at the end. And I have that in mind, like that's a dream, but then I have to kind of step away from that and just do, okay, take this next step, take this next step, or it just becomes too much of a hurdle. So I guess I would tell myself to just take each little step.
From you, or what made you decide to invest in a program or an online course versus looking at all of the free information out there? There's a lot in the world of microgreens now out on the internet. What kind of made you make that decision and that investment?
I would say that my goal in my career as a teacher, in my life personally, is relationships. So I'm not just an information gatherer. I work better if I'm in a community or, in some type of a relationship with someone. It helps me with accountability. So I thought, this program will be great for keeping me accountable and keeping those small steps moving forward instead of, looking at all of that information everywhere. So I love that, that sense of community. Definitely, it was you. It was your personality, your presence on social media is very open and welcoming and professional all at the same time, laid back. So I really identified with that. So that's why I definitely jumped in. I thought it was a very reasonably priced program, to be honest, after going through having a coach. I'm like, oh my gosh. So Laura, you should charge more. But so all of those things, and that's really what's kept me accountable. I mean, I think even in the fall, as the holidays got busy and plans got busy and all of these things, I was still seeing what everybody in the group was doing, and we were staying connected. And I'm like, oh gosh, I've got to get, whatever going, come on, girl. So all of those things, just the accountability. I love that you have all of the resources available forever. So I have gone kind of back and forth and piecemealed through it. I'm amazed to see it doesn't say that I've finished everything, because I would move around a lot. But those have really kept me moving forward at each step, and even when I've kind of paused.
Well, thank you, Lori, so much for sharing. I agree that sometimes in a community, we can kind of spur each other on to keep making progress and keep taking those steps. So I'm glad that the program has done that for you. Thank you so much for sharing everything. It's been great chatting with you.
You too.